If you're a business owner and every time you try to hire, it feels like you're gambling, you found the right video. I've helped over 100 clients hire more than 500 people, and today I'm going to give you my 3-part framework to hire great people. This video isn't about writing job ads and corporate culture stuff. It's about how to hire people who actually grow your business instead of quitting after a few months, leaving you wondering what the hell went wrong this time. My name is Quentin and I run 20-Hour Founder. We help 6- and 7-figure founders build businesses that run in 20 hours per week without cutting profit by fixing who they hire, how they train, and what they delegate. The first thing we're going to look at is why you're actually hiring. The success of your hire depends on why you're hiring, because you should always be hiring to solve a constraint. So if you feel that you need to hire someone, check in on the reason why you feel that. There are typically 3 constraints you should hire to solve. There are time constraints, there are skills constraints, and money constraints. Let's say you're doing too much and you're running out of hours, and because of that, you cannot focus on things that truly matter. For example, you're constantly chasing clients for revenue, so you don't have time for marketing or developing your product or leadership things. And to solve that time constraint, you might hire a sales rep to take over cold calling and client follow-up and sending quotes, and that might free you up 20 hours per week. And those 20 hours per week, you're then going to reinvest into leadership and product development because that's what your company needs right now. On the other hand, if there is something your business needs but you suck at it, that means you're missing skills. And when skills are your biggest constraint, you're going to find people who have those skills you need. For example, if you run a service business, but marketing and admin or invoicing or finance aren't your strong suit, you probably need to hire somebody who is either great at marketing or finance and admin, because it's easier to hire someone who is already great at it rather than having you, a founder who's already working a lot of hours, putting in even more hours to first learn the skill, then be mediocre at it, to eventually get good. It's going to take lots of time. So it's better to hire someone who already has the skills. That way, it frees up your time, saves you money, because they don't have the ramp-up period and you can put that time then into something else. And the third constraint is revenue or capacity. And typically, if you know your business can do more, I mean, you could handle more clients, do more projects, or your business could just make more money in some way. You know you have the capacity to do more and to deliver more, but your business needs more client coming in. Then your next best hire should be a salesperson to bring in that revenue. If you want to sell more to existing clients or improve your product, then hiring somebody who can do product development to make a better, more expensive product would be a great alternative. By the way, if you don't want to rebuild this from scratch, I put this full 3-part hiring framework into a checklist you can literally use on your next hire. It's free and the link is in the description. Once you're clear on why you need to hire, the second thing we're going to look at is who you need to hire, because who you need to hire depends on why you're hiring, as we just saw. What you're going to do is take the role from the first part you chose to hire for and then make a list of tasks you want that person to do. And then you list exactly what they will do in detail. And then for every task, you're going to write the skills they need next to it. And you split it into 2 categories. The skills they must have when they start, so the non-negotiables, and the skills that would be nice to have, but that you can teach them. So they're an advantage, but they're not a deal breaker. Because a mistake a lot of business owners make is that they expect plug and play people when hiring. They expect to hire an A player from the competition that just runs with it and turns your business into this great machine. But the truth about A players is that A players are built. They're not found, they're not poached, they're built by you for your business specifically. Have you ever hired an A player from the competition and it backfired? Well, that's because they were an A player in their environment with their tools and with their systems and with their team, but not with yours. And since you only got a person and not the environment, they likely not perform the same way. And once you're clear on that, there are still some other details you need to get clear on, like the degree and the experience requirements, for example, or the location. Do you want that person to work remotely, or do you want to run them or to work, in office? Then there are also personality traits and characteristics. Now, I'm not going to dwell on culture here, but if you want somebody to integrate into your sales team and everybody there is like super extroverted and outgoing, then hiring the quiet kid might not be a good idea. Or if your business is a smaller business with a really close team, then hiring someone from a super bureaucratic corporate environment might be a bad fit too. So by now, you should know why you're going to hire somebody and what constraint you're trying to solve with that hire, who you need to hire to solve said constraint, and what skills they need to have. If it's a bit much to follow, as I said, you can always download the framework below this video. Good, let's get to the fun stuff. We're going to look at how you have to hire those people now. But before I tell you what to do to hire the right people, I'm going to tell you what not to do. You're not going to hire for vibes or likability. That's bullshit. Vibes don't pay the bills, and likable people are not necessarily good people or high achievers. And you will certainly not interview like you're an HR person. Don't ask those stupid questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or what do your friends say about you? And all those other annoying generic questions that just get answered by polite, superficial answers. We both know you're going to get the answers the person wants you to hear, and it won't likely be true anyway, so drop those stupid questions. What you do want to ask are ownership questions. Ownership questions force the person to tell you what they did, how they did it, what they contributed, and what the results of their work were. So you're going to ask them, what did you do in your last job? What went well? What went wrong? And what's your responsibility in this? What are you most proud of? And what do you regret doing? And then, please, you deep dive into their answers. The best way to know if somebody's going to be a fit is by asking follow-up questions like, can you tell me a little bit more about this? And looking back, what would you do differently now? So you can see if people are holding themselves accountable and are taking ownership, or if they're just going to blame it on everyone else. The next thing you need to be on the lookout for is the I versus we test. Most people in teams, and in a team you've got the high achievers, the top performers, and then people are just coasting, you want the first and you want to avoid the latter. So when they're talking, be on the lookout for when they say, I did this versus we did this. Because when they say, we did this, you want to know what their part in it was. Because we people are usually not the people who moved the needle the most. If they were, they'd probably say I instead of we. So it's always a yellow flag when you hear we. They were probably one of the lower performers. And before the interview ends, you should give people a clear understanding of what the job is going to be like exactly. So what you want to do is this. You go back to the list of the constraints and the tasks, and then you turn those tasks into weekly KPIs. So for example, let's say you're still hiring that marketer. Well, every week they should make 3 ads with 5 variations, that's 15 hooks plus 5 visuals. And then you ask them, can you handle this workload? And have you ever handled a similar workload before? No, just to pressure test it. And if they say yes, it's good. But if they say no, don't hire them, because they'll most likely quit anyway because the workload will be too much. And the last thing you do is that you give them a test. You never hire without a test. Let me repeat this. You never, ever, ever hire without a test. An example for your marketer could be, okay, well, make me a small design, or review a few of my running ads and suggest some improvements. If it's really a small test, you want that person to do it on the spot, so you know they're doing it themselves. You can also see how they think and how they reason, and you can go also a little back and forth on those things, and it will also give you a feel of what it's like to be working with that person. If you're going to give them a test that's just bigger than a quick thing during the interview, which would be for me typically more than 2 hours, that's my threshold, pay for them. Because if you ask them to do real work or something meaningful and you're not paying, some people just won't do it. A lot of people won't do unpaid work even if it's out of principle. Plus, it's not even legal everywhere, and people who truly value their time will want something in return. So if people ask for money themselves, don't take offense. In my book, it's even a good sign. So for example, you're hiring a sales rep and you can say, hey, look, study my website, study my product catalog. And in 2 days at 9 a.m., you cold call me and you do a small demo over the phone. It should be a conversation of about 50 minutes. You do that, and then after that, you send me the script. So you're asking them to study your website, study your catalog, build a sales script for a cold call and a demo over the phone. And the great thing is that afterward, you might still use it. Even if you're not going to hire that person, they'll still have given you some really good insights or some really good tips. Hiring doesn't have to be hard. Actually, hiring can be fucking easy. You just have to know what you're looking for. Because when you know what you're looking for, it's much easier to avoid hiring the wrong person. And this framework helps you remove all the guesswork, the hopes, and the dreams. But if you're still worried that you might still mess up during an interview, watch this video next, where I go over the 5 most common hiring mistakes so you don't drop the ball when you're interviewing your next rock star.